What's going on, everybody? Sorry, the video is going to be a little grainy because of the light situation, but I'm sure there'll be some buttheads on here like the other day that talk silly. That the reason why it's so grainy. What's up, Stefan? What's up? So, what's up there, Mr. Chad Rich? So, got a couple questions for you. This lighting here situation is kind of hocus pocus, but yeah, Chad. Yeah, that's what's up, Dirt Farmer? So, if you would like and subscribe, and leave a comment in your section. If you're a truck driver, I'm new to trucking, almost a year in, and really don't know any different of what. Hey, Brenda, I bet you're getting excited for your trip. Yep, I got home time scheduled for this weekend coming. So I'm actually sitting in Amarillo, Texas now. But I don't know any different. Some people say they love their fleet manager. Some people say they hate their fleet manager. I don't know if it's a like glove situation for me. All I know is that for a new individual that has come into the trucking world, um, I feel like the fleet manager that I have spends more time uh, degrading you and telling you how you've messed up versus trying to fix the situation. So my camera is not focusing. Hell, I don't know how the hell to fix it. I'm on my Mac, so there we go. A little bit. See my old Kentucky hat there. See that, boys? They don't think this is Kentucky football, because that ain't happening. This is Kentucky basketball all the way. Uh, Mine's not so much. It's kind of a common thread here when we've got three individuals on here that's got the same fleet manager, and so that's something to be said. But I'll tell you guys. So this is my experience. Your connection is unstable. Please wait while we try reconnecting. Can you guys see me? Can you see me? Hello? Hello? Can you see me? Can you hear me? All right. Group meeting in Springfield, Mo. That's right, Chad. Hey, I'm a big believer. Yes, little. Yeah, the fuzzies because it's dark and I'm not. Hell, I don't know what it is. So I've got every light on in this damn thing that has on it. So, but I'm a big believer of, you know, I'm not going to let somebody talk to me stupid, degrade me or whatever. I mean, hell, that's not what I'm about. So when my fleet manager does that, hell, he may be watching tonight. I don't know. Tim, if you're watching, man, you need to take some communication classes, in my opinion. And that's not trying to degrade him or whatever. There's some great classes out there that will show you how to manage people. Managing people's not my strong suit because I'm a high D. I'm a very direct bad. So that's just my personality. That's the reason why me and Chad got along so good. Is his personality, my personality is don't humdig around with what it is that you want to say. Just say it and get it out. So yeah, I'm chewing, Heather. Don't get mad at me. I got me a big chew in. Chad asked me if I was vaping still. I said, nah, I'll just take the old Kodiak. All right. So here's the latest skitty. So I've been in California. So I went up to Denver, and I was in Denver, and this has probably been 2 or 3 weeks ago. And the weather wasn't snowing. It was fine. It was a little windy or chilly, whatever, but it was fine. So I go up there, and I dropped at Walmart in the morning, and I was supposed to go pick up a load at JBS. So going to pick up a meat produce load, and the next day. So I went back to the yard, my 90 at Walmart in Colorado. They didn't have no trailers, and the only trailer that they did have was an Intermoto trailer, and the tires were, they were bad. They was in bad shape. RA, they're wanting me to kind of hang around there, and then the fleet manager says, well, bring it on if you can drive it, if it's safe. Now, he did say this: if it's safe, bring it on to the yard, and we'll get you paid for basically shuttling the trailer back and forth. I said, all right, cool. So I get that trailer, come back, drop it at the yard in Denver, and he said there's plenty of trailers here in Denver. So I get there, and I'm not exaggerating, guys. Out of 12 trailers, every one of them was bad. When I say bad, I picked up a trailer that he told me had just got fixed when I went and took it. And this is, I blame myself for this as well, and not really kind of looking at it physically. So first off, make sure you're looking at your trailers on all sides, especially the sides, because if the metal is gone and just a little installation is showing, a lot of places will reject it. So with that being said, I go in there, and there's tags on the trailer, and the fleet manager says that, well, they rejected this trailer because of this. The pigtail was bad, and it had a brand new pigtail in it. So I took it to get loaded, and they rejected it on me again. So I called fleet manager up, and I said, hey, man, they rejected it. So I come back, had to go to the yard again. So it's 54 miles one way to where I was. So I get up there. It's 54 miles to the 01. It gets rejected. I got to take it back to the yard. Then I get another trailer. And when I get back to the yard, every one of the trailers were bad. So I start critiquing all of them. One of them's got a big old hole in it, and the other tires have got nails in it and screws in it. Personally, I think they should have somebody at the yard, because you cannot depend on these drivers when they're picking up to do a right trailer inspection. If you got a trailer, an empty trailer at the yard, especially at a small yard like Laredo, Denver, Fontana, that one individual should be responsible for checking those trailers to make sure that when a trucker comes in, they have a trailer they can go out with without any issues. That's just my opinion. That would save a whole lot of headache. So, with that being said, I went back and forth 3 different times to the yard, to the O1, the yard, the O1, to the yard. So I get back to the yard, and he says, well, I got a load out here going to Cali. Well, anybody knows our fleet manager does not want you a solo driver out west. For whatever reason, he says there's too many trucks that don't make any money. Good thinking. Yeah. So my thing is, there's too many truckers out there not making any money, but for the last 2 weeks, I've ran less than 2,000 miles, and I've brought home 2,000 or more a week. That's pretty good money. I mean, that's after fuel, that's after everything, and fuel out there is high. $2.91 was the average fuel cost, and that the cheapest was Petro. You never ever see Petro cheap. In California, in Ontario, that was the cheapest fuel, was $2.91. So I get this load and take it to California, drop it. It wasn't supposed to deliver until 21:30, 9:30 at night. Well, I get there like at 9:30 in the morning, and they went ahead and unloaded me. Well, dealing with Chad, running to California, East Coast to West Coast, in my TNT phase, the duty is that if you drop, so for example, we would get a load, and we would get there like a day early, and we would just drop it in Fontana. They have a local driver there that basically takes it in to the customer whenever it's due, but in return, you got to do a local load, which I understand. So they give me this after I drop this. They send me. He tries to send me to Fontana to pick up a local load that was it was 426 miles away, and it paid $420. And I was like, negative, Ghost Rider. Reject. Boom. So I reject it. And that was my last video as far as just talking about, my rant. And so he came back to me and he said, I need a reason why you rejected that. And I could gave him 10 reasons, but the bottom line was it just didn't, it wasn't going to make me any money. And I don't drive this truck for free to be cool and say, hey, I got a truck and I can blow the horn when people do this right here. If I don't make money, then I'm not going to do it. I will literally sit there until you give me a load that's feasible for me to make money. I don't care. I mean, if it's 30 minutes or 3 hours or a day, I'll sit there until you give me a load that makes sense, that I can make some money on. So he got mad. So I'm sitting there, and I got about 2 hours left on my 14-hour clock, and he sends me another load, and it's going into the same area up by Sacramento, a little north of Sacramento, for $1,800, a Walmart load. I'm thinking, all right, that's more like it. So $400, $1,800. Yeah, I believe I'll take that load. So I took that load, ran it in, and I get up there and I sit to the next day, nothing. Then he says, well, there's no loads coming out of here. We need you to go up to deliver in Oregon. All right, that's cool. I'll pick up a load near Sacramento, take it up there, actually right on the Washington, Oregon border up there by the Tri-City, and I drop it up there. And same thing. It paid. I'm gonna say, really, I mean, it paid. It was good. It was a good load, and it wasn't a great load, but it was a good load. I made money on it. So I go up there and I sit, and he says, "Well, there's no loads coming out of here," and I'm like, "Okay, well." I'm thinking to myself, well, there's no loads coming out of there. Why'd you send me up there? Well, we got to take this load. All right, I get it. So I'm up there in this Mayberry town. I'm talking about there's nothing around but weed. That's it. Like hemp and weed farms in Oregon is everywhere. You think California's bad? Man, they got some. They got some crazy stuff up there in Oregon. How many likes my shirt here? Yeah. Oh, weed, California. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that'd be a great conversation starter for a lot of people. But I'll probably get called into Springfield and have another drug test. They've already pissed me like 2 or 3 times, but that's all right. We don't care. We'll pay all day for them. So, anyways, I get up there and I'm waiting. Then I get a load that I'm picking up in. What's up, Dale? I get a load that's picking up in Tampa, Idaho, and it delivers back in California. So I'm like, all right, well, cool. Going back out to Cali, go back out there, and I get sent up to Yuba City, California. Go up there to a Sam's Club, and I told him at this time there was a big storm coming. So with all this being said, not only do I look at the load where it's going, but I know what kind of direction I'm going to go when I leave that load, if that makes sense. So that will determine if I accept the load or reject the load or whatever, because at this time, Wyoming, I-80 had been shut down because they had a big storm up there, and they had basically shut down the gates on I-80. So I told actually dispatch. I'm not sure if it was my regular fleet manager or not, but he tried to send me out to Oregon again, going out to Maryland, which paid good. But in that, I-80 shut down. So I'm like, no, I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to risk it. So they always say you're the captain of your ship. So I reject the load, tell them why I reject the load or whatever. And I said, I'm not going out on anything where I got to go to I-80. I'm not going to do. I'm not going to accept it because they've been shut down. The snow, the ice, they've been some accidents already out there. And I was like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not only not comfortable with doing it, but anything that I think is going to jeopardize, me wrecking or whatever with the load, I'm not going to risk it, guys. This trucking is great, but it ain't worth my life. It ain't worth me getting into an accident for and hurting somebody else or whatever when I should never be there in the first place. That's how I take loads, accept or reject loads. So I reject that load. Wait all night. They try to send me another load, and it paid really good. The load I'm on currently pays really good. Hey, Jen. So the load pays really good, but it was going out I-80. And I was like, so I called the fleet manager up, or actually, no, I messaged him. And I said that I told you guys I'm not going out I-80. And he said, well, I need you to do a macro 57, which basically says that you reject the load. And in his, what he said is, I want to document basically we've given you a good load and you've rejected it. So at that time, I was like, all right. So I started looking, got my GPS out, started looking at everything. I had enough time on there. Even called my old buddy Chad up. And I said, okay, if you had this load, what would you do? Would you go out this way? Would you do this way? Whatever. So I had enough time on it. I'm going to go back down 15 and going to go across 40. Well, he didn't like that. So on Friday, so first off, I didn't realize I had 2 stops on it. So I was I take that back. I realized I had 2 stops on it, but I thought they both delivered on the 6th. So when I accepted the load, I was looking at my hours and everything, kind of judging as far as can I make it out here, blah, blah, blah. So I get back in California going down to 15, and I'm running night shift because I don't want to hit traffic. And so I just run, you know, when you're running in California, I think night shift probably is the best thing just because of the traffic in the daytime. So I called him up and I said, hey, man, you know, I think communication, guys, is key for everything that you do in life, whether marriage, business, whatever it is, communication is key. So, yeah, stand your ground. So I called him on Friday and I said, man, I just now realized that this load, my O2, even though my appointments were open-ended, they hadn't been set yet. And so I said, I think I'm going to maybe have a couple hours short. I didn't realize that one of them, my O2 was on the 4th and my 90 was on the 6th. I thought they was both on the 6th. So I called him immediately. Well, man, he chewed my ass out and started sending me a bunch of condescending messages. You know, I said this. So first he said that he was going to repower it. Well, that's great. I'm in California, so I shouldn't have an issue of getting another load or whatever. So I've already ran my 8 hours out of my 11, so I'm taking my break. So before my break was over, I messaged him and I said, hey, what's the status of this repower deal? And he said, I said, and this is, you know, I said that I was going to repower you when we thought we could, but not for you to sit there and wait on me. And I'm thinking like, I got a little upset, got a little frustrated, you know. I was like, all right, whatever. So I get up, run it as far as my break's over, run it on in, as far as, you know, do my time. I'm still 3,000 miles away. And so I'm sitting in Amarillo currently, and I'm going to make my O2, going to make my 90. And what he done was, where the appointment was not set for Monday, they went ahead and just pushed it till Tuesday, and my 90 on Wednesday did not change that at all. So my thing is, why couldn't you just say that in the first place without, you know, getting everybody, you know, my nerves are like shot because, you know, I'm thinking I'm going to be late. I've never been late, never had a service failure, never done anything as far as wrong with delivery wise. So I'm over here, you know, kind of frustrated and at myself for not really paying attention to, as far as the O2 been on the 4th versus been on the 6th. So I've been running, you know, my clock out as far as to get where I got to get, and I'm gonna have probably maybe 2.5 to 3 hours left over because I've been running on recaps for the last 2 or 3 weeks. Um, so communication's key, guys. So my thing is, I realized it. I communicated with you 5 days before it was ever delivered. Now, when I say 5 days, guys, I mean me and Chad was going from East Coast to West Coast and in 2 days. So for you to have 5 days and worry about something to be, late or whatever, that's just unneeded stress on anybody. Yeah, I get it. I messed up. That was my fault. I owned up to it. But don't leave me hanging, stressing out of, I'm going to have a service failure, being late or whatever. And just because you can't communicate, because my delivery is in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania on Wednesday, and I got home time scheduled for to be home anytime Friday, the 9th. Um, yeah, Friday or Saturday, whatever day it is. So I was a little frustrated, and instead of him communicating with me, he messages me first. When a driver, they can see, the fleet manager can see anything that you do as far as your on duty, off duty, driving, sleeper berth, or whatever. So another thing that frustrates me is, and it happened to Chad a lot when I was on his truck, is when you're in sleeper berth, it seems like they want to chat your ear off. Well, typically when I'm in sleeper berth, I'm asleep. Don't bother me. I got, I'm up 11 to 14 hours a day. You can't message me, but as soon as I get on the sleeper berth, you want to call me or message me, and that's that just frustrates me as well. But long story short, 28 minutes into this, my thing is that my fleet manager does not have any communication skills. And I've had issues with it. I've talked with the supervisor about it. I've talked with him about it. So, I was talking to Chad earlier. Yeah, that's true, Stefan. That's true. So talking to Chad tonight about it, Chad called me the king of rejection, and I don't I don't take that with a grain of salt. I take that as, if it doesn't make sense to me, reject it. If it doesn't make sense to you, reject it. Now, if you wanted that authority over me, I would have went company. Then I wouldn't have that, that power to accept and reject a load. My fleet manager was a company driver. My question to myself is, I've never asked him this, is that, I get it where it's his way or the highway, because that's the way it was with him, because he was a company driver. He didn't have that option. He didn't want the responsibility of running a business to, and that's what I think, as far as to be able to accept or decline, where my opinion is that if you just want me to be a yes ma'am, no sir, yes sir kind of dude, I would be a company driver. So yeah, he was a company driver, Stefan. Yep. So, and the thing about it is he was on the road. he was a driver for 6 years, I believe. Um, and anybody that's been out here for 6 years, you know, hey, hats off to you, because I mean the struggle is real out here. I've been out here almost a year, and kudos to you guys. But now, kudos to people like Chad and people's been out here for a long time, because I couldn't imagine dealing with some of the stuff they've dealt with the changes that we're dealing with now with the ELD and the new logs. I mean, everything that's going on, it's just crazy, in my opinion, of running paper logs back in the day. I mean, who can't fudge a paper log? I mean, you can say you ran 8 hours and ran 20 hours. I mean, like, who's going to know unless you get pulled up, get caught into it while you're doing it? So, but my biggest question and concern was, after I had already accepted the load, was, and I wasn't even thinking about this, when I accepted the load, was what if I get up in Oregon and I can't move it into the 6th hole to go through California to get back where I need to be without running 80? So that was a big concern of mine going to get the load in Oregon. Luckily, I was able to put in, I mean, it's a 23,000 pound load, so it's a light load. So my takeaway is make sure you look at your loads, your O2s, your 90s, your O3s. I mean, look at everything. Look at the state that you're going to be running in, especially if you're out in the West Coast, that you're able to 94 is better if that's possible to take. Well, I mean, so for me on this load right here, I basically added about 600 miles on this load. So basically I added a whole day on this load, going the route that I'm going. But I knew if I could go that way, that the delivery is going to be on time, unless, something happened majorly, blew a tire out, or I got, into an accident, or, whatever it may be. I knew that I was comfortable. I mean, 40 straight across is good road. 15, the only thing that really kind of slowed me down and sucked was, sorry, it didn't make any sense. Where's 94 at, Stefan? Oh, North Dakota. Yeah, that's a negative, Ghost Rider. Because Montana, Colorado, all that right now is, I mean, you can stay up 90 and run across there, but you had to run through Montana, and that's the weather again. So my thing is, say for an example, is if I didn't question anything, if I went ahead and accepted the load, ran across 80. So when I called him on Friday and I, expressed my concern to him that I wasn't going to make my O2 because of my hours, he was all been out of shape on how much out of route that I was. And for people that don't realize this, Prime, and I assume every other trucking company, when they give you the load, empty miles and loaded miles, they basically go from zip code to zip code in their calculations, as far as, so it's not exact miles, it's a zip code to zip code. And that's how they determine those miles that you go. And so for example, if somebody would have repowered me in California I basically would only got credited for going to the 01 and picking it up, because when I went down to 15, I was totally out of route miles. So I had taken that upon myself to go the route that I was going. So I would have had to eat all that. Um, and I told him I was aware of that. He made sure that I knew that. And so I told him I was well aware of that, because when Chad and I was running in my TNT phase, we had to drop down we added, 3 or 4, 500 miles onto a trip all the time, because of the snowstorms that was happening last year when we was going from, the East Coast to the West Coast and vice versa. And sometimes it doesn't matter that you're going to hit snow somewhere. Don't go back west anymore. Now, I like out west. I would rather stay out west, Midwest, than any day of the week, until than I would out in the East Coast. When you go out in the East Coast, it's Virginia, West Virginia. Some of those mountains out there are no different than some of the mountains, as far as in. I never get west. This is the first time for me. This is the very first time for me ever going out west solo, and that was my thing coming out here. I was like, I always joked with him when I'd get close to like Louisiana. Usually, when you get down to Louisiana, that area, sometimes they'll send you to Reno, California, Colorado to California, in that kind of Oregon, Idaho places. Yeah. But I can say this: Oregon and Washington, that place is it's nice and pretty, but they're when you're going out by Lake Shasta, going up on 5, going towards Oregon. I'm doing good, Clinton. Doing good. There's some pretty good mountains, there as well. And I say West Virginia. It's probably not really comparison. The only comparison I would say, West Virginia has on some of the mountains out here in California is in California, they restrict you so much, like 35, 45 when you're going down some mountains. And that's a good thing. But you got some of these super truckers that are driving. They're freaking going 50, 60 miles an hour down these 35, these hills. Yeah, snow. But what's up, Canal JP? But it's been an experience these last. I've never been there before. Never been there in the summer. Oh yeah, I bet it is pretty in the summertime. So my fleet manager, what he said, I guess you're going to be one of those truckers that just sits all winter and don't go anywhere, because I didn't want to go across 80. So my thing is, he chewed me out, as far as he said that you can't go on what the weather was. You got to go what it is right now. Well, guys, look here. If I would have went across 80, look at the weather right now between Cheyenne and Nebraska, and even before Cheyenne, and see what the weather conditions is right now. The roads are pretty much shut down because they had light trucks banned on there, which I would be considered a light truck because I only got 23,000 pounds in the box. So they're shut down. So not only would I had a chance of not making my O2 and them having to do the whole thing like they did before, as far as have to change the date and everything, But I would just be stuck like Chuck, and I'd be, risking my life and other people's life for conditions that were just unnecessary. If you got to go somewhere, you have to go that road. I get it, but in this situation, I had enough time on it. I had, I just chose to go down 15. I'm sorry, 5, up to 15 to 40, 40 across. Then I'll go up and it delivers in Michigan. So I'm in Amarillo, Clinton, all the way from Brazil. Nice. Thanks for chiming in there, Canal. Thanks for chiming in Brazil. Last minute until you get to Seattle. Gotcha. But the Lake Shasta on 5 is beautiful, in my opinion, as far as the mountain, the area, the scenery. I could say probably Oregon. Once you get into Portland area, I mean it's not bad really. The roads I took anyways. I went across 84 as far as that, but they were fine. But my rant tonight is don't let your fleet manager dictate you to do something that you are not comfortable with doing. And if they do, you need to talk with them about it. And I have spoken with him about it on several different occasions. I've actually spoke with the supervisor about it on a couple of different occasions. At that point in time, you may need to look into trying to get a new fleet manager. As bad as it says, if you are a lease owner, operator, whatever, if you're not a company driver, company meaning that you don't get to pick and choose where you go to where they tell you to go to and when they tell you to. Just make sure that you are the true captain of your ship, and don't bring that in arrogance. Don't make your headache swell up and all that stuff. Just make sure you're safe, doing your pre-trips. Like tonight, like last night, my check engine light kicked on. I checked it. My oil was fine. My temperature was fine. The wrench wasn't there. So I was always told that if a code or a check engine or whatever was thrown, if something's wrong, you'll have the wrench on there as well. My truck currently has the check engine light on, but there's no wrench. When I got to Amarillo this morning, probably about 9 o'clock this morning, I sent a message to Road Assist saying, hey, this came on, sent them a picture of it, and what do you know? I still have not heard anything back from them. In my opinion, that's unacceptable, guys. I mean, that's just unacceptable. Back student quit because of Tim. I'm in Denver, PA, unloading at 5 a.m. Sing George Strait. Sing George Strait. What do you mean, Brenda? Clinton, and it's funny you say go see him. So I personally don't like going to the terminals at all. I mean, usually the only time I'm at the terminal is either I'm getting drug tested or, I've had to get a maintenance or something like that. Otherwise, I try to stay away from the terminals because you just get jammed up in there. You're in there way more. Oh, Amarillo by morning. You're just in there way longer than anybody wants to be there. And that's just my experience that I've been there. So I always try to avoid the terminals. I'm fine with you just send me a load and let me get there. Hey, how's the flatbed trucking lease doing with Prime? I have no idea. I'm not flatbed, but I did get the driver board meeting. There was a guy that was on one of the Prime groups that I'm in, Facebook groups, and the the driver board was talking about how light right now the flatbed is, and they said hopefully in the springtime that will change. I don't want to butcher your name, McKeel. Sorry if I butchered your name, but that's the only thing I know about flatbed. I drive refrigerated, so my biggest thing is make sure you're safe, make sure you're doing your pre-trip. I can't stress enough that I would say when I say make sure you do your pre-trip is make sure your lights are working. That's a big thing that I've seen here on 40, that I've passed several truckers that either their tail lights are blinking, which means there's a loose connection in your pigtail or some kind of electrical connection messed up. Not every time that you're going to catch it or whatever, but for me personally, this is a brand new 2020 International that I'm in, and I've had my driver low beam headlight go out on me twice already. And when you're doing your pre-trips, you need to make sure that all your lights are working. I don't know how it is in all the trucks, but I do know in the newer Freightliner and the International, and I assume the Peterbilt is the same way, is we have a lamp check button that all of our lights blink, our brake lights, our turn signals, our emergencies, our running lights, our bright lights, our dim lights, everything goes through a sequence to make sure everything is working. And every morning when I get up, or every night when I get up, when I leave out, I always check that to make sure they're working, even though it's a brand new truck, because I've had instances where my headlight's been out, or I've had a trailer where my turn signal on the skirt is not working. And that's not a huge deal until you have somebody on that side when you're trying to get over and they don't see that blinking light from the skirt, and they don't pay attention to your turn signal on my actually has turn signals on the mirrors. I don't think Chad's Freightliner, the 19 Freightliner, I'm not sure if the 2020 Freightliner does that or not, but mine has turn signals on my mirrors that illuminate when I turn my turn signals on. So that's my rant for the night, guys. I've been on here 48 minutes jacking my jaws. And how's your life going, everybody? Where's everybody at tonight? Where's everybody sitting? We got 16 people, and we only got 8 thumbs up. We need to get some more thumbs up or thumbs down. Hell, I don't care. If you've not subscribed to my Facebook or Instagram, Rolling for Time, go do that right now as well. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe button on my YouTube channel. And I've got a bunch of videos, guys, some road footage and some other things to put out. When I went through Vail, Colorado, I've got some winter stuff that, my KW. So that's a good deal. So you're in Harrisonville, Missouri. I've never been to Harrisonville, I don't think, Stefan. But at home in San Antonio. That's right. I'll be home this weekend. Be on a cruise this weekend as well. Actually, next week. This is the best water ever was, guys. I go through a lot of water, and this stuff's expensive, but that is some good water. Oh, south of Kansas City. Yeah, I've only been through Kansas City a few times. I've delivered over there to the Americode a few times in Kansas City. But it's a little chilly down here, or over here, I should say. It's 43 degrees. I think. What is it? Yep, 43 degrees. 43 degrees. They said it was snowing the other day in Kentucky. I'll tell you what, it got hot in Cali. It heated up pretty good. Then it got down, and it's funny how you go through California, and the more north you go, I mean, the colder it gets. Even right now, around where the those fires are in California, I mean, some of the areas over there, when you're running on the 5, you can smell the smoke in some places on the 5. Are you still making your goes at the end of the week? Yeah, at the end of the week, I mean, I'm making money, guys, and that's the thing. I mean, like, I'm not going to be out here if I'm not making money. I mean, I'll just sit and park the truck, go have a steak, and wait on a good load to come through, because often my fleet manager will say, I'm sending you the best that I have when I'm sending it to you, and that very well may be true, but in 30 minutes, an hour, or 5 hours, or the next day, you may get another load that he may have had that he didn't want to give you, or he may just gotten another load that's better than the load that they try to send on you before. Flurries when it snows. We are leaving. So the in-laws, they should be packing up pretty soon, heading down to I think they're going to go down to Florida. They usually go down there in the wintertime in the camper. But that's the thing, you never know, because I don't know the fleet manager side of things. All I know is what I've seen while I've visited them. And I visited, a couple of different night dispatches that I've met, and I've met with my dispatch as well. And I mean, he's went through the whole program, and it's really cool. Like your truck, like it's color coded. Like if your truck's been sitting longer than 15 hours, I think is what he said, it turns red. If it's been sitting for longer than whatever hours, it turns orange. They can tell if you're driving, sleeper berth, on duty, off duty. They can tell all your statuses from the screen. And I'll say this right here, and I'll jump off here. But the new update, I get it, the reason why it's been like it is now. But before the update, when I say the update on the QC, the Qualcomm, is now it reads your message. So when you get a message, you just push play, versus you having to go back and read it. It will play it to you, but it's like in a voice that you have no clue what it says, and it says it so fast you don't know what it says. And there's so many, like the fleet managers and the different people at Prime, they use different codes. They use the EPT for empty, and when you're trying to have something read to you, they may abbreviated something, and when you get it read to you, you're like, what the heck does that mean? I have no idea what that means. So that's the big thing that I hate about the new update. I get it, because people want to, you can't play on it now. You can't go back, because what I would do is I would run macro 26 for the best fuel a lot. I mean, like several different places, because I've mentioned it several times. This freaking International, it could have 80 gallons in it, and my light might go off, and it's crazy. But so I would do like best fuel stops multiple times during the day, once I've passed that place they've given me before. So I run it in the morning when I leave, then I would run it again while I'm driving to kind of see if it's if I've passed that place, if somewhere's cheaper. So that's something that you cannot do now. It won't even pick up, register anything while you're driving, your wheels are turning. No, you can make 2,000 weekly. When I say weekly, that's before taxes. But yeah, if you got if you're riding good and you watching your fuel cost, 2,000 weekly is a very doable go. Very doable. But you guys be safe. Hit the thumbs up, thumbs down, and I will catch you later.